And normally I've always been helping out Alberto Contender, which has been a really good experience for me, and to try and help one of the greatest Grand Tour rider ever. But now it's like a new chapter for me, and I really have to go for my own goals, and we think these races will suit me really well. So it's now I have to start to get the experience, because I think you really need that in these races with all these couple climbs and twisty roads. But now it's like a
2 seconds.
Well, so
that's it. So you mentioned there the cobbles. What is your history of cobbles?
Sorry again.
What's your previous with cobbles? Do you know cobbles? Have you ridden on them before?
Yeah, well, not so much actually. To be honest, I did this on a 23 ride. I did the Tour of Flanders, and I was in the final. But I guess it's going to be totally different, because I experienced from Liège that you cannot compare under 23 and the professional world. So it's going to be totally new for me. But I feel good on the cobbles. I did the tour 2 years ago with cobblestones, and also last year the Eneco Tour. And I normally going well on the cobbles. So yeah, I really look forward to start the real season tomorrow.
You've obviously reconned the route. You've been there since Wednesday. So what's your early thoughts on the course?
It's a really tricky course. You really got to be alert already from like the last 100 kilometers. But the recon went really well. I did a lot of the climbs before, so I kind of already know the roads, and I've been really. I've been helping out a lot from Lars Mikkelsen, our sports director. He knows every stone on the road, so he also informed me really well. But I must say it's really tough. Just like the position with the hand, what you want to do with that, and just the feeling on the cobbles is a really strange feeling, when you're not used to it. So. For me, it's also just all about experience and to see how it will go tomorrow.
And what will be your team role for Astana tomorrow?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit of a surprise, actually, but I will be the protected leader from the beginning. And then we'll see from there on how the race goes and how I feel. But from the beginning, I'll have the leader role with Matty Bressel. He'll be like the road captain, and then I think the whole team will be around us. So it's a really nice start to get this this role, that they believe in me from the sports director side, which also puts a little bit pressure on me. But yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. In the end, it's all about just stay in the wheel and then do whatever you can, and you cannot do any more, I guess.
You obviously had an amazing result last year at Amstel Gold, finishing second. Can you compare the two courses? Obviously, there's short, steep climbs. Does that result give you confidence going into one-day races like this?
Yeah, sure. And that's also why I will be doing these races, because it is similar. Of course, there's cobblestones here, but it is, like you say, short, steep climbs, which I'm normally really good at. And even though if I suck at the cobblestones, it will still be a really good experience for me towards the Ardennes challenge, because you really got to stay up there and fight for the position, because that's maybe 90% of it is being in a good position. If you are too far back on the timing back, you will be screwed, I guess.
Yeah, that brings us nicely to the crucial points of the race. You mentioned the Tannenberg, where kind of the race almost begins, the finale of the race begins. It is only 530 metres at 6.6%. Quite often the battle to be at the front is crucial, because everybody wants the gutter.
Exactly.
It's quite a short climb, but last year it proved to be decisive. The winning move went away on it. What do you think about the climb itself?
Yeah, the thing is, if you get the gutter, it's easy. But if not, then you're stuck behind, because like you see last year that Daniel Oss was going full gas for Greg Van Avermaet, and he kind of stuck the Peter Sagan, and Peter had to wait until the top before he could make the final jump back to the first group. So it's all about position and being in the front of the Tannenberg. But I think already at the Kreuzberg, you got to be alert, because then you have a small couple sections just after, and actually from Kreuzberg and until Molenberg, that's 35 really, really hard kilometers.
And we've actually seen the peloton split on the approach to the Tannenberg because it is so fast and it's exposed. And then straight after that, you've got Eichenberg, which for me it seems like a harder climb. It's 1.2 kilometres, 5.2%. It looks harder, but sometimes it's not. It doesn't get riders dropped. Do you think it is harder?
Well, that's the thing also with Eichenberg is you have a lot of normal asphalt you can go on, and I don't know what they will do tomorrow with the parkour. If they will put up something so you can't go on there, because if you just go on the cobblestones, it's a really hard climb. But normally you can like jump from side to side and be on the asphalt, and then it's not so hard. I think actually, I think the really crucial point is tying back from the first time.
And then it rolls into the Hag Hook, 2 kilometres of cobbles, which goes down and then comes up into the kind of the town, the village. Ethics split the race there a couple of years ago. It seems a hard place. You can go on the grass verge, but the race does split there. It's covered a number of times. What do you think about this section of cobbles?
I think if you make it through the climbs, you should be pretty alright on the cobbles, but they're not nice cobbles, to be honest. You really gotta have the legs, because otherwise, you can get dropped there. And I think also it will be open, and there will be some crosswind. I think tomorrow will be like crosswind from the left, maybe. I'm not sure, 100% sure, but it will be, the last 80 kilometers are so crucial. I think the last 3 couple sections are not so hard. The Paardestraat and Littenhovenstraat and Langemünde, I don't think it's so decisive, but before that it will be really hard.
Yeah, straight off Hagkook, you hit Lieberg, which 950 metres, 4.2%, maximum of near 14%. Legs are tired because of the Hagkook, and then it can just explode. But then you're right, after that point we do have relative calm, without too many difficult sections, but as you know, these races, the crucial move can go anywhere. How do you stay alive? How do you keep so you're able to respond to attacks?
Well, the thing is, I got a pretty good advice from my old teammate Nicky Sorensen, because when he rode the first time Tour of Flanders in 2014, he was top 15 actually, and he told me that if you can, don't go over the limit on the climbs, because you can always, not always, but you can always come back on the flat section after if you have the big engine. So it's about not to blow yourself up, I guess. Then you can always come back if you're strong enough. Because these races have attention, like sometimes they stop in the front because they cannot work together. Then you can come back and maybe make a counter attack or something, because these races you can attack, like you say, anywhere, because people have tired legs, and it's the first real race of the year actually.
You mentioned the wind. The weather this week in Belgium has been particularly horrible. Lots of rain, lots of wind. Tomorrow looks to be nicer, maybe not rain, a little bit of wind. You said, it is coming from the southwest, so crosswind for some of the race. The cobbles, you've been out on them. I presume they'll still be wet and muddy, even though it's a dry day.
Yeah, I think they will be wet, and you really have to pay attention. Actually, we had one rider today who went out on some of the cobblestones, and he had a small crash actually. So you got to stay alert all the time and really be focused, because if you're not focused, then you go in the middle of the road, and then you have suddenly a hole in the road or something, or because you're not paying attention, and maybe you make a stupid mistake, and then you have a puncture because you go in a like making a snake bite or something. So it's really hard racing these races in Belgium, from what I've heard, because I don't know yet, to be honest.
You were kind enough to allow me to do a guide to winning because it is your first race. So here is the guide to winning. I think you already know most of it. Front on the Tannenberg, full gas up the climb, and then have a look around and see who's left. That seems to be the plan for most riders. But being in a good position for the Tannenberg seems to be the most important thing, I would imagine. When you have 50 riders trying to be at the front of the race, it must be difficult to get that position.
Yeah, it's even harder than the climb itself, I guess, because we have so many strong riders here and everybody wants to be in the front. And that, for me, is maybe the hardest thing, actually, is to be the right place at the right time, because I don't know the roads so good yet. But there I have, like I said before, Lars Mikkelsen in the car, but also Matty Bressel, who's been doing these races for a long time now, and he's in pretty good shape. So, and he knows really what to do. So he's a guy who can really help me a lot if I have the legs, then he can help me. Yeah.
You were kind enough to do some stars for me, so I'll just put them on the screen just now. We've both done stars for the race. You have gone for, in the 1-star section, Lars Bohm, Fabio Follin and Magnus Cort Nielsen, a rider you know very well. Do you think this race can suit Magnus Cort Nielsen? He's obviously started the season in good form.
Yeah, he had already 2 victories, and I know Magnus, when he gets the confidence, he can be unstoppable. And I think Orica, they will help him, and maybe also Jens Keukelächer. But Magnus has just a strong sprint, so he can win in a 10-man group or 20 or 30 rider group, actually. So I believe he will be up there, because he's really, really strong in the Valenciana, and so, and yeah, it's always nice to have a fellow Dane to ride strong. He always also gives me motivation, because if he can do it, I think I could do it as well. So yeah.
You've got Follin and Boom as well. Talk me through those 2 selections.
I think Lars Boom, when now he's on a new team and he wants to show himself, and did a pretty solid time trial in Algarve, or I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Algarve.
So his shape is pretty good, and he needs to show himself with this new team. And also Fabio Follin, I think he's going to have a big season. I think also you been saying that sometimes. And I saw him on the flight here, and he looked good. So that's why I give him 1 star.
My 1-star riders, I've gone for Arnaud Demar, Ian Stannard and Nicky Terpstra. So Demar, obviously, very good start to the season, already taking a couple of wins. He's good on cobbles, he is good in bad weather. He could potentially win a sprint if it comes back together for a sprint, but who knows if it comes back together. Stannard, who has won it 2 years, didn't race last year, hugely strong rider, won a stage in Australia recently, and Terpstra, because just in case it's wet and windy, there is no better rider in bad conditions, I think, than Nicky Terpstra. And Quick Step will be looking to do something special, I would imagine, in this race. 2 stars, you've got Sepp van Mark, Tej Benoot and Greg van Avermaet. Talk me through those ones.
Yeah, like a guy like Van Avermaet, you have to give him some stars, and I would like to give him 3, but anyway, I think he'll be the leader for BMC, and he won last year, so he obviously knows how to win this race. And also the final this year is a bit different. It's slightly uphill, which gives him a little bit of advantage compared to the other guys if it all comes down to a sprint. And then Tej Benoot, he's just such a strong rider, and his form is upgoing, and I think he's the future man for these races. David, you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
The background. Okay.
Sounds still good. Sepp van Mark.
Yeah, Sepp van Mark is maybe the best guy on the cobblestones, and like Lars Boom, he's also on a new team, and so he also needs to show that he has good legs and good form, and he also did a really good time trial in Algarve. So he should also be in a good shape before the big goals, and so you have to give him 2 stars also. And he's also quite fast, so he can also do a good sprint on that small time in the end.
I also have Tiege Benoot. I'm lucky enough to speak to him fairly regularly. I know he is in form. He won the young jersey in Algarve. He then decided to have quite a quiet week. He is fully confident that his winter training has been outstanding, and he goes into this race on a high. He is yet to win a pro race, so he has that hanging over him. But as he pointed out to me, he only ever rides big races, so it's difficult for him to win. But I think he's going to be obviously a star of the future and possibly a star now. I've gone for Luke Rowe. I've got 2 Team Sky riders because I think Team Sky have probably the joint best team with Quickstep. They have Stannard and Rowe. They also have Puccio and Moscon. So such a strong team, you would imagine that they would be there. He was the man who attacked on the Tannenberg last season and got all the way and was unlucky to finish 4th. He was unlucky to be with faster sprinters. And I'm going with Jasper Stuyven. After his winning Kuurne last season, he was very impressive in a lead out he did for Degenkolb in Algarve. He looks on good form, and he is another one of these local riders who knows just about every inch of every road, so that has to be somewhat of an advantage. 3 stars, we have slightly different 3-star riders, which is good. You have Sagan, Kristoff and Bonin. Talk me through these ones.
Yeah, Peter Sagan, obviously, world champion. He's been in the Sierra Nevada training camp like last year, so his shape should be really good. And you always have to count on him, don't you?
Yes.
And Kristoff, obviously, on a good form, also won 3 stages in last week in the desert. So if it all comes down to a sprint, he will also be a really, really dangerous rider. And I think he also has a good team here with Morkov and those guys. So I think he will be there. And then Tom Bonin, last year for him, so he has to be in really good form. And I think he will do something spectacular this year because it's his last season and he really wants to finish off good. So I think he got big motivation, and he has, like you say, one of the strongest team also. So he has to have 3 stars.
Totally agree with Bonin. He obviously is finishing at Paris-Roubaix, so he seems very thin just now and motivated. I was slightly worried about his crash in Oman, but I was assured by Oliver Naesen that it was nothing, and he is absolutely fine and ready for this race.
Okay. I saw your tweet to the tip, but that's why I thought, okay, he's
ready. He's never won this race, and you know, Bonin is one of those unique individuals. I'm sure that inside him he would love to win this race, just so it was on his palmares. Sagan, yep, I agree, has to be 3 stars. Not many of these riders go and spend time at altitude, but certainly it worked extremely well for Sagan last season. A ridiculous year he had. He can win from a break, he can win a sprint, he can win solo, he can do everything. And I have Van Avermaet in at 3 stars. Similar reason to Sagan. He, interestingly, was out on a training ride, I think Wednesday, and the news people have followed him around in the car with a TV camera crew. So even when he's out training for Omloop, he can't escape the press coverage. He is slightly below where he was last season because he had surgery in December, but he is always extremely strong. The one man I don't have on my list is Kristoff, and I'm taking him out. He doesn't always perform particularly well here for I don't know what reason. He obviously has Kuurne the next day. I don't think that weighs on his mind so much because we see riders sometimes be successful in both races. But you are correct, he is looking very strong, and I think Naesen said he was looking quite thin in Oman as well, so that obviously will help. Talking about yourself, what what would be a successful race for you?
Finish? No. Yeah, but no, I have a hope for top 10. That would be really good for me, and I'll just see how long I can follow and make as less mistakes as possible, because that's what it's all about. Because I'm pretty sure I have the legs to be in the front. I just gotta stay in the front, and then I think anything can happen, because maybe people, they don't count on me as a top rider, so maybe I can go from a long distance, which maybe would be my thing.
Good. And if you had to predict the winner of the race, who do you think will win?
Oh, it's so difficult to say, but I think it's going to be a smaller group tomorrow, and I think Christoph's going to win tomorrow. Yeah, that's my bet.
Okay, I think it will be a different race from previous years. There are so many riders who seem to be on form just now. I think a group of 10 to 15 riders away, and my pick will be Tom Bonin to take a big win before he retires. After this race, Michael, obviously you have Kuurne on Sunday.
Yes.
Do you even think about that race until after Omloop?
No, not at all. Actually, I think also Kuurne is more for the sprinters, so it's not going to be so much for me. So for the moment, I'm all about Nieuwsblad tomorrow, and when that's finished, we'll see how I will tackle Kuurne. Then we have another captain, so yeah, for me it's all about tomorrow.
And then after this weekend, some rest before Paris-Nice.
That's the thing, yeah. I'm not sure if I do Paris-Nice and Tirreno. They are talking about changing the program for now, because they want me to help Fabio Aru with the team time trial in Tirreno, but I'm pushing for Paris-Nice, and normally I should have I should know it by the end of this weekend, but we'll see. I hope for Paris-Nice. Now I live in Monaco, and now I train on the road, so it would be nice to do that.
Brilliant. Well, Michael, thank you very much for taking time today to come on the preview show. I hope you enjoy your debut in Omloop. I'm not sure everybody does, but I hope you do, and I hope you have a successful race.
Thank you. I hope so too.